You're listening to the Southampton Delivery Podcast, a podcast dedicated to the Southampton Football Club and all of the SFC fans.
I'm really happy to be here. It's a pleasure for me.
Fonte with a scooping header.
I would like to make the most of with this opportunity.
It's infield to Mane, 25 yards out. Lovely ball for Pella. Onside, 1-0. Buffon shot. Oh my word.
He ran around a bit like Bambi on ice. Really very, very embarrassing to watch.
And now, your host, Matt Markstone.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Southampton Delivery Podcast, a podcast dedicated to the Southampton Football Club and all of the SFC fans. My name is Matt Markstone. I'm the host of the show. No matter where you are, no matter how you may be listening, thank you for making the show part of your day. I hope that you enjoy it. The room may sound a little bit different today. I am not at home at the moment, but it is a wonderful afternoon, sunny, bright. As a school teacher, it's almost over. We are in finals week, so this is a glorious, glorious time for me. Saints, though, maybe not having the most glorious of times, not a whole lot of news coming out of the club. Of course, we saw at the weekend that Danny Rose was unfit to play against Nigeria. But, you know, Ryan Bertrand is on vacation enjoying himself, so we'll just remember that. One of the few things that did come out of the club this week was the list of players who will be retained for the following season, or the list of players, I guess, who will not be retained for the following season. And that list includes a couple of first-team players, including Jeremy Pié and Florian Gardos, who are both off, but it also includes some others, including Ollie Cook, Armani Little, Afella Alamala, Will Wood, Ben Cull, Oliver Gardner, Javin Su, and Richard Backery, and they will all be gone. So best of luck to them, whatever the future holds. Maybe we will see them, playing against our under-23s, or maybe even our first team in the future. But other than that, really, Yoshida, Cedric, Tadic, and Bednarak being named to the final squads for the World Cup is really the big news. So congratulations to them. It should make for an interesting group. Yoshida and Bednarak kind of will face up against one another, and they will have former Saint Sadio Mane running at them in that group as well. So we will have to see how that happens. But that is not the focus of this week's episode. If you'd like a little bit more on the World Cup, we did an episode last week previewing the Poland squad for Tactics FC. You can find all that stuff on the website or in the archive, so you can go ahead and listen to that if you're interested. There is a full list of every team, every World Cup squad being previewed by Tactics FC. A bunch of different podcasters got together and did that. But that was last week. And this week, we are, of course, focused on the Southampton Women's Football Club, whose season came to an end, and for the first time in 3 years did not earn promotion. But still a wonderful season, a fantastic season, a very impressive season. And I had the opportunity to talk with Tash Angel, who's on Twitter at Tash_Angel6, about her season, about getting fit after last season when she had a back injury, coming into the season, what it meant for the club, what kind of expectations they set, how they dealt with some of the adversity surrounding the Hampshire FA Cup Final and all that stuff. And I should say that we were actually planning to talk in the buildup to that and the week before that to kind of preview it. But of course, you may or may not know, I shouldn't say, of course, you may or may not be aware that the team was disqualified for fielding an ineligible player. Lots and lots of controversy around it. It hurt to see that happen to the team, to the girls, to watch them and kind of see them and to kind of have a little bit of a relationship with a few that I've spoken with to kind of see how they took that. And I talked to Tash about all of that. And we'll get into it, and I'll save it for there. But, before we get into the interview, I just wanted to take a second to thank everybody at the Southampton Women's Football Club, from Amanda, the club secretary, to Lee, and to Simon, the coaches and the manager, to just all of the players that I've talked to over the season. Thank you so much. This has been a wonderful experience for me. It's truly a pleasure to be a part of such a wonderful club, and I hope to be able to do it in the future. But enough of the kind of sad, sappy stuff. Let's get into the interview with Tash. We talked last Sunday. So here is my interview with Tash Angel. Once again, she's on Twitter at Tash_Angel6. And the Southampton Women's Football Club is on Twitter at SOTON Women's FC. All right, here we go. We'd like to welcome to the Southampton Delivery Podcast, Tash Angel. You can find her on Twitter at Tash_Angel6, and she plays for the Southampton Women's Football Club. They just finished up their season, and we're going to talk about that and talk about her and talk about kind of whatever else comes up. And we have some listener questions as well. So, Tash, thank you so much for taking the time out of your bank holiday weekend to join me and to talk, and welcome.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. I always like to start by just getting to know a little bit more about you. Some of the listeners that follow the team may know you a little bit. Some people who listen mostly for the men's team stuff may not. But, did you grow up in Southampton or around Southampton, or are you a transplant from somewhere? Where are you from?
No, I am born and bred Southampton. Always lived here. Spent a couple of years out of the country, but other than that.
Did you support Southampton then when you were growing up, or was your family much of a football family?
Not really a football family, so I wasn't one of those kids who just supported who their family supported. I've never actually supported Southampton. When I was really young and getting into football, I think when I was about 8, a friend of the family was a massive Newcastle fan and offered to take me to St James's Park for a game. So I went and absolutely fell in love with all the people, the stadium. It was my first live football match. So I decided to start supporting them. So I'm probably a bit of an outlier in that I was born and bred Southampton, but I actually support a team very north in the country. And I think because my mum was in love with Alan Shearer at the time, that also might have swayed her to support me supporting Newcastle.
That seems fair. And here in the United States, that would not make you weird at all. At least for me, because I don't live in around a city that has a team. Like I have to go 4 hours one way or another to get to a professional team of any sort. So
wow. I
support a team that's halfway across the country in Houston and Texas. That's where my kind of allegiance for baseball and MLS and basketball is. And then of course I support Southampton, which is a very long ways away. And so but I think in the UK, at least, that seems to be, one of those things that people might raise an eyebrow if you tell them you support Newcastle, but that's okay. So supporting a team that far away, were you able to get to very many matches growing up, or was it kind of a once a year thing or once every other year? How did that work?
No, so I've never been back to St James's Park again, because it's really far away for starters, and they're very dedicated fans, so to get hold of tickets is pretty hard. I actually went to watch them play when they came to St Mary's, though. We lost. We were awful. I think Saints won about 3-0. So that wasn't great, but at least I got to see them play. So no, I don't get to see them very often. I do watch them on TV when they're on, but usually through behind a cushion or something. So it can be, as with any fan, I think they can be quite painful to watch sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're bored. I mean, we could talk about boards and all that other stuff for a long time, because you have maybe one of the coach that a lot of teams would really love to have, and it doesn't feel like you're supporting him. Whereas Saints have had a couple of coaches where we're like, come on, what are you doing with this guy? But that's okay. And we should thank you for beating us 3-0 up at St James's Park and getting rid of the manager. But that's harsh on me. So, but yeah, so. Yeah, so I know I can relate to watching from a distance, and I guess for you guys they're not on TV all the time, because a lot of times the big teams take the TV time, but winning the championship, not obviously this year in the Premier League, but last year, and I think you guys are going to be okay, so that's fine. We'll see how the summer goes.
Yeah.
But supporting Newcastle. Living in Southampton, when did you start playing yourself? When did it go from just wanting to watch and support the team to actually wanting to get out there and play?
I think I've been playing pretty much from as long as I can remember. So when I was in little school, I always used to play football with the boys on the playground. That was probably when I was about 6 or 7, and then we had a girls' football team, school football team, so I played in that. So from a really, really young age, and I've never stopped playing. apart from like through injuries, we're having the small breakthrough injuries, yeah. Other than that, probably since I was about 6 or 7, so quite a long time.
And then, even as you progress through school, and that seems to be kind of a familiar story that a lot of you, especially at the Southampton Women's Football Club, started playing with boys, and then eventually there's a shift at, I can't remember, one of the girls said it was like 13 or so, you have to switch over to girls. Is that about the age? Yeah,
I think they've extended it now. I think it might be like 15 now, but at the time, yeah, it was a lot younger. So I started playing in a girls' team quite a lot earlier on, though, just because of what was local and what my mum would take me to, basically.
Okay, and then did you always play defense, or I think now you made a switch to right back, which I have questions about, but you played center back for some time. Did you always play in that position, or did you play further forward early on?
Yeah, so I think it's quite a usual transition, actually. So I did actually play striker, when I was younger, and then got put in defence. I think it's because I was tall. And then when I was at uni, we didn't play in a fantastic league, and I didn't really have to do a lot in defence, so I tried to play up front, and I got to play up front for a season at uni as well, so that was actually quite fun.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, here in the States, we have teams that are actually through the universities, and they'll go play each other and that stuff. Is that the same? Is that similar to, did you get to do that? Or when you're at uni, you're playing on kind of like another team similar to Southampton Women's Football Club, and then you go play? Yeah,
you play in the uni league. So again, they're graded and you get promotion and relegated. So you play different unis in and around like your region. So yeah, that was pretty fun. Yeah,
I have to ask then, do you which end of the pitch do you prefer? Do you prefer to play defense, or do you prefer to play striker?
Oh, I think I've definitely converted to a defender now. I go up for corners, and that's about the extent I go to getting up that end of the pitch, I think.
The more I watch, you get out there and play on a full size pitch, and then you start running around. You're like, man, this is not, because I prefer to play defense too. And it's just like, you start playing, I had to play midfield the other day, and it's just like, this is not for me. This is ridiculous.
I'm definitely a defender. Yeah.
What is it about defense that you enjoy? Is there a specific aspect of it that you kind of identify with or like more than anything else?
I don't think there's anything better than a Lastditch challenge. I do love that. And also I just like the challenge of, it's basically 1v1. It's me versus their striker, and who's going to come out better. I like that challenge, that element of it.
Yeah, I think that's I enjoy that too, unless I get beat and then I don't like it. But you try not to let that happen.
Yeah.
Talk about last ditch challenges. Do you ever, when you get one wrong, do you know it immediately? Has there ever been a situation where you've slid in and you were late and the ref doesn't call it?
I don't think I'm trying to, not off the top of my head. There probably has been, and maybe I've just banished it from my memory because it was that bad. But not that I can specifically remember now. No.
Do you? Sometimes when you make those challenges, the striker's always gonna, if you get the ball, they're always gonna come up and say they got me, and they're gonna look at the ref. And what do you do when that happens? You tell them to get up. You tell them to shut up, or you just move on.
I just stay quiet. I stay quiet. If I've won it, stay smug and just walk away and carry on.
See, I wish more people were like you, because the problem is we have people on our team who have to give it back to them. It's like, no, just let them be. Just let them be.
Yeah.
But, let's go back a little bit. So when you're not playing, and what do you kind of do? What do you do for a living or for a profession, or what do you do outside of soccer or football?
So for a living, I work for a government organisation called UK Sport. So we're the funding body of all Olympic and Paralympic sports. And within that organisation, I work for the coaching team. So our job is to help develop and support the coaches who coach Olympic and Paralympic athletes.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's why, it's pretty, I haven't been there long. Been there, I think, 11 months now. So that's really, really interesting. And then when I'm not doing that, I go to the gym quite a lot. Really enjoy the gym. And after that, I just like being outside or just sitting in front of the TV, really. Sometimes I think everyone will need a bit of downtime every now and then.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you is there a specific teammate you usually take to the gym with you?
Yeah, so I go to the gym with Cathy Wickham usually.
She's the one who put you forward for this. So if you after you get off the phone, you decide you had a horrible time, you can yell at her, or put her through some garbage at the gym. That's all on her.
Yeah, that can be a punishment at the gym.
So, and I know the season's over now, but kind of going into a match day, and coming up on a Sunday, like what does your day look like leading up to kickoff? Do you have like a routine that you follow, or do you kind of just go with the day however it goes, or what does that look like for you?
I'm pretty much a routine girl. So I get up, pack my football bag, have breakfast number one, which is usually some sort of oats. If we're playing at home, I don't do a lot of my morning. I just like to chill out before football. If we're away, then go and meet at wherever we're meeting at. Hop on the minibus with everyone, just kind of chill out on the bus, and then have breakfast number two. Couple of at a certain specific time, as Simon, our manager, tells us, that's when it's peak to eat before a game, and closely followed by a coffee or two. And then, that's pretty much it. Quite chilled.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You have music or anything that you prefer to listen to in the car or on the bus, or do other people take that responsibility away from you, or that privilege away from you?
Yeah. I'm not too fussed with some of it, as long as it's something with a bit of energy and a bit of upbeat. I don't tend to use music to get me in the mood, but we do have music on in the change room. And again, Kirsty is in charge of that, but Millie Peach gets in on the action as well. And even though she's quite young, she plays some proper old school songs, and I'm like, how do we even know this? Yeah,
I didn't realize how young she was until I talked to her, and I just went like, "Oh, you're not like," because I'm not, I'm in my 30s, I'm in my early 30s, but it's just like sometimes, and I teach high school kids, so sometimes it's like, when I was talking to her, I caught myself maybe switching back to talking to her like she would, because she's close to the age of some of my students, and I'm just like, don't do that, yeah. Like, don't do that right now. But yeah, so. All right. And then after a match, because I play once a week, and when I play once a week, I come home and I just have to pretend like I'm still like functioning, because usually I'm just exhausted. Do you feel like that after a game or after a match, or are you kind of conditioned now to the point where it's just, I'm okay?
I think it depends on the game. After most games, I'll feel all right. Like, you feel like you've definitely played. Some games I do literally feel like I'm barely crawling. If it's been really, really tough, or if we play on 3G, it's quite hard on your body and your joints anyway. Uh-huh. Sometimes it's the next day I wake up and feel I'm about 90, which is definitely becoming more frequent the older I get. So I've learned the importance of stretching, which is helping me manage my body. But yeah, it depends on the game. Some days I'm all right, some days feel very, very old.
Yeah, I'm wondering how I'm going to feel tomorrow after this race. So how long then have you been playing for the Southampton Women's Football Club?
I think this is just finished my third season. I did play for them for a stint before, for a season, which was maybe back in 2011. And then come back and play for me. So just finished my third season. So 4 seasons all up.
Okay. And you mentioned you lived out of the country for a while. Did you play when you were out of the country? And if so, where was that?
Yeah, so I lived in Australia for a little while. So I played for a local team there, which was really, really fun. Really good bunch of girls. Just very hard playing in the Australian heat. So that was a bit of a different challenge. And then I lived in New Zealand for a bit. So again, played for a local team there, which is really, really decent standard. Had loads of young New Zealand internationals in our team as well, which was really, really good experience. Yeah, and then when I came back to England, that's when I went straight back to Southampton Women. Okay.
Do you enjoy living? I mean, you picked two places that the weather is much, much different than where you live currently.
Yeah.
Was that part of the draw to get you out there? Was the weather?
I don't know if it was the weather specifically. The weather probably kept me there a lot longer.
Okay.
Especially in Australia. I do like the warmth. That was that was a big pull. But yeah, playing football in it was pretty tough on some days.
We were looking at the weather report before our race this morning, and I'm talking to my brother about what we're gonna not what we're gonna wear. I'm not trying to coordinate. We're just like, are we gonna wear actual long sleeves or pants or whatever? And it was 19 degrees, and my brother was contemplating wearing pants. So that just shows you kind of where we live and what it's like, Like somebody asked me, was it hot? And we're like, no, it was just kind of normal. We kind of wish it would have been a little bit. I'd have taken warmer. I don't mind running in the heat, but after a while, it wears on you.
Yeah, 19 would have definitely been short weather for us.
Yeah, yeah. When we were over there around spring break. I don't know, Easter time, and it was not warm, but it wasn't cold. It wasn't terrible because you dressed for it, but it was. I was definitely happy to get home and wear shorts and a t-shirt every single day and never worry about it.
Yeah.
So you've been here for 3 consecutive seasons. So you've been through 2 promotions and then this season. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay. So, when you were coming into this season as a team, and I've asked other girls this, like, was the plan, was the goal, I guess, as a team to get promoted, or was it just to, just play as well as you can, and if promotion happens, great, or kind of what was the mindset coming into this season, having just been promoted twice in 2 seasons?
I think the mindset is always to win or do as best as we can, but I think it was pretty much quite the unknown. We hadn't played. We've played very few teams in the league that we stepped into this season, so we didn't really know what to expect. So I think it was all about taking it one game at a time. I think if we're honest with ourselves at the start of the season, we never would have said promotion was something we were aiming for. So I think it would have been, we saw it more as let's sense this league out, let's do the best we can, finish mid-table or a bit higher and push on from there.
As the season went on, was there a point in the season when you thought, hey, maybe promotion is a real possibility, or was everybody kind of just working and nobody kind of really noticed that you were creeping up the table?
I think we did creep up a table a little bit without many of the opposition really noticing it. I'd say probably around the Christmas point when we were still undefeated. And I think when we'd beaten Keynsham in the league and Saints in the league, then it was a bit of like, oh, okay, we can really push this now. Plymouth were obviously always going to be the really tough ones, as they were the team beating everybody by quite a fair goal. But I think at that point we had a bit of a reality check that we could really push on for this. And we've done a bit of a team exercise of what do we actually want from this season and this league. Do we want to get promoted? Do we want to win? And we were all like, yeah, we can. This is definitely our new goal. If we were to say that, we can push for promotion.
And I guess the real tough thing that people may or may not know about the league you play in is only one team gets promoted, so you have to win, right?
Yeah, correct. So it's pretty much even the smallest slip up of points, and that could be your season, your title, your promotion shot over. I
mean, that adds a lot of pressure to it then, once you kind of set that as your goal, right?
It does, yeah. But I think once we'd all agreed that promotion is what we wanted, we just know we had to go out there and perform and put the effort and put the performance in every Sunday. But yeah, I guess it does have a little element of pressure, but I think we always believed that we could do it.
Coming into this season, did you set any kind of new personal goals for yourself, or how do you approach a season as a defender? What do you set out to do, or how do you set out to make sure that you're kind of pushing yourself to do a little bit better? What was your aim to work on, I guess?
Well, I had a bit of a different off season in that I had quite a severe back injury March last year,
okay,
which put me, I slipped a disc in my back, which put me out August. So I missed the end of the season before, missed the whole of pre-season, and then I didn't start running properly till August. So obviously the season starts about then. My main aim was just to get back on a pitch. If I'm honest, it was pretty simple, just to get back out there playing, and then get back in the squad. So it was a bit of a different personal goal for me this year.
Is it hard kind of watching everybody go through preseason, kind of go through, you can kind of see the squad and the team forming and who's playing where, and then you're kind of helpless to that? Is that a hard thing to do as somebody who, enjoys enjoys playing and has played over the past couple of seasons?
I don't think it's hard to see the squad forming, because at the end of the day, I always want the club and the team to do well. I think it's tough not to be a part of it, and it's tough just to be an injured spectator, regardless of the situation. So yeah, it was tough in some aspects.
I know that sometimes I get more nervous watching matches when I watch my kids, or when I watch my friends play. I get more nervous if the game gets tight than if I'm out there and playing. So I get that part. And I don't know if I can ask, but what are your plans in terms of your career? Do you foresee yourself playing further for the Southampton Women's Football Club, or do you is there at the end of the season, do you kind of reassess where you're likely to go, or if you're looking to go somewhere else, or how does that work for you and maybe the others at this level?
I think it's different depending on who you would speak to in the team at the moment. I'm very much happy with Southampton Women's at the moment, and will stay again for the season coming. But different people are of different ages. Some people want to go out there and see where as far as they can get. Other people, again, are really happy with the team and where we're going as a club. So I think regardless of, I think it would depend who you speak to in the team, but I think people want to push themselves, and I encourage them to do that, see how far they can play. Obviously, we don't want anyone to leave. But yeah, my plan is to go again for another season.
All right. And then if I could ask you kind of, if you could give advice to anybody that's younger and playing, what advice would you give them? Would it be, like you said, to, continue to push yourself and see where you can go, or how would you, I guess, advise them? I
think if you want to see how far and how high you can go, then definitely go for it. I think the main thing is you've still got to enjoy it. I think some people push themselves so far and then realise they don't enjoy the people they're surrounded by or the team they're playing for. So I think the main thing would just to make sure you still enjoy every moment of it, be it training, be it playing, the away days, the time. You do end up spending quite a lot of time with your teammates when we train twice a week and then play as well. It's quite a significant time you spend with them. So yeah, just make sure you're still enjoying it, and just to work hard.
And then, after the past couple of seasons of earning promotion, double promotion, the past 2 seasons, not getting promoted this year. Obviously it's disappointing because you always want to kind of come out on top, but what does that feel like as a club? Like, what was the mood around the club when you finished the season, knowing that you were kind of going to have to reset and do it again next year?
I think the mood is just really determined to go and win it next year. Obviously, I spoke about the time where we were like, we want to get promoted, we want to do this. And then when we didn't, I think everyone felt obviously really disappointed. But I think if we take a step back and reflect on it, to come second is actually a really, really incredible achievement, given that we have had 2 promotions in a row. And then to finish second, I think that's something to still be proud of. And yeah, it's just the mindset is just let's do it again, let's win it next year for sure.
There were some other things that happened this season that maybe weren't as pleasant. And the club was, I guess, disqualified. I don't know if that's the proper term, from the Hampshire FA Cup after reaching the final. And this gets weird for me because the club that filed the thing is also related to the Southampton Football Club, which is, obviously the club that I support. But, as a club, and I remember talking to a couple people kind of off the record about things, but, to you, did that just make you more determined when that came out, or how did the team kind of take that news as it was all happening?
There was probably a bit of anger, if I'm honest, and disappointment. And then once our secretary was incredible. She put so many hours into it, as did many other people in the club fighting our corner. And I think once we got over that initially, you do feel a bit hard done by, and you do feel a bit like everything's against you. So I think we just, as players and probably as management and staff and as a club, just want to go out there and prove ourselves of how good we are. Like, let's let our football do the talking.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I would say there was a lot of emotion.
And I don't know, saw tweets from, and I saw the letter that you guys put out about it, the statement. I know you guys appealed. I know that a lot of people were circulating the section of the rule that was claimed you violated, and that people were really unhappy with that because the rule was not the same in this area or this however it kind of breaks down versus other places. And had the rule been a little clearer, you know, it would have been easier to deal with. But you know, and I saw some of the things that Simon and Lee had said on Twitter and stuff. But I mean, did you just use that as motivation to go out there for the rest of the season? And do you think it had an impact on the rest of your season, or do you think, and if so, do you think it was a positive impact? Just like you said, just refocusing and going out there and trying to prove yourself, or do you think in the end maybe it maybe did mess with you a little bit?
I think it was a bit of a distraction for a time because it did go on for quite a while. And then there was always in the back of our minds, if we do win our appeal, we could be playing a cup final in a week and we have not prepared for it anyway. So it's definitely a distraction, but I think on the pitch, it just made us more determined to keep doing what we could control, and that is going to be playing good football, getting 3 points on the board and moving on to the next one. So I'd say I wouldn't say it had a massive negative impact. It was a bit of a distraction, but if anything, it was okay, well, stuff you, we'll go and do what we can control. Yeah, it did give us as players a little bit of a boost for a while because it's like, let's go out and prove everyone wrong. But yeah, it wasn't an ideal situation to have at quite a crucial time in the season.
Right. Okay, but that's enough depressing stuff. So I did, we asked for some questions, and I got some questions from Lee, from one of your coaches from the calendar. And I didn't go to Kirsty and ask her personally for questions. So you can thank me for that, because, especially after you asked, her some questions last time that she was, she really enjoyed. So from Lee, and then we have a couple from a listener as well, it says, how did you feel transitioning from right back, or to right back this year, rather than playing center back? Was that a big change for you, or how did you kind of deal with that?
I've played right back before, albeit when I was a lot younger. I quite enjoyed it. It's a bit weird. So you get a bit more freedom in the sense that Simon and Lee like us, like the fullbacks to overlap.
Okay. And
get forward quite a lot. So I like that element of it, just because I like to work hard and exercise quite a lot anyway. So I was like, I'm running way more. This is fun. But then it's weird because then when you turn around and you're like, I'm like, oh God, I'm not the last line anymore. And I feel like I should be there in the centre in the action. So it was quite tough, just mentally. But then I was like, Barnett and Kel have got it anyway, so it's all good. It's been quite enjoyable in the fact that you get a little bit more freedom to roam up and down the wing.
How important is that relationship with, you know, the person playing in front of you, the winger playing in front of you, and does that person that was playing in front of you on the right wing, did that person stay pretty consistent in the team, or was it a lot of changes up there, or how did that work?
There was a few changes, so it was quite tough. Because I played a couple of times with Jane in front of me, and I kind of always knew how she played, and then they got changed up a little bit between a couple of other different people, which is good in a way because we've got such a versatile team that all across our attacking options, everyone can kind of play different positions. But once because we train so much, and Wednesday nights we usually do quite a lot of gameplay anyway, you do get time to work with them. So it's just getting to know quite quickly how they're going to play. Yeah.
All right. Did you come up with any goals or any assists this year? Playing right back, or?
I can't remember. I've got 4 goals this season. I can't remember in what positions. I'm not too sure about assists.
Okay. That's all right. 4 goals. That's not bad though for somebody who's playing defense. It's good.
It's my best in a while, so I'll take that.
If I score, it's because somebody has blasted it off of my head from a corner, not because I've done anything else. So, Lee also asked what was your best moment of the season? What's the thing that's most memorable for you, maybe?
Oh, wow. Tough question, Lee. best moment of the season. For me, because of the tough start I had and no preseason for injury, it'd probably be making my first appearance back for the first team, which I actually scored. So that for me was a personal highlight. As a team, there's been quite a few. As a team, I don't know, the draw against Plymouth felt good just because it felt like a bit of revenge because we'd had such a terrible time the week before.
All right. So we have some questions from Andy Rollins, who's at Coach Zen on Twitter. And he said, just question, what do you feel next season will bring?
I think next season will bring promotion for us as a first team. I think the reserves will also have a really, really good, solid season. And I think we'll go on some really good cup runs as well. And
then what about the U16s? He asked if you're looking forward maybe to the U16s making the step up and joining the senior squad.
Definitely. They are so good. They have been winning everything. And a few of them have been transitioning into the reserve squad and joining some senior training, and they are a fantastic addition. So I'm really excited to see how they get on.
Good. That's awesome. And he says if you could bring one WSL player, I guess that's Women's Super League.
Yes, correct.
I kept reading it. When I was reading the question, like to myself, I kept reading it as the women's league here in the States, and I kept having to remind myself, like, that's not what he's asking about. So if you could bring one player from the WSL to Southampton women's, who would it be and why would you pick them?
Fran Kirby. Who would not want Fran Kirby in their team? I think she just had an outstanding season especially, and I'd rather have her in my team than play against her. So
that's all right. That sounds good to me. Thank you for taking the time to talk. And of course, the team is off now for a couple of months. Preseason will start for you, I guess, the end of July or the beginning of August, and the season starts shortly after that.
Yeah, so we've got trials next week, then we got a couple of weeks off, and then preseason training starts early July, for the season to start middle of August, I believe. So in no time at all, we'll be back on the pitch.
Yeah. And I always like to remind everybody that the team does work off of sponsorships for players and for coaches. So anybody looking to get in touch with the team or is interested in sponsoring you or one of the other players or one of the coaches should get in touch with the club secretary, and all that information is in the show notes, so people can just click and you'll email her right away. And as long as Amanda is still the person doing that, then I know she will respond right away and be very, very helpful and get all that done, because it's got to be a ton of work for her to do that. But she's been great every time I've had to deal with her.
Yeah, Amanda is fantastic. She is the absolute heartbeat of this club. So yeah, she will respond very quickly, no doubt, as well. So any sponsorship would be much appreciated.
Yeah. And so as you kind of go forward, I wish you just the best of luck. I hope that the back is fine, and I hope trials go well, and I hope that maybe those U16s come up and push you guys to do a little bit more. And then as you go through next season, obviously, I hope that you guys do very, very well, and do my best to keep up with the results and the scores. And I always enjoy. My favorite is actually I enjoy when the person tweeting from the account loses connection for about 15 or 20 minutes. I don't know if you know this happens, because we won't get an update, and then all of a sudden it'll just go like, here's 15 updates about the last 30 minutes because they just got connection again. And it's like, well, wait,
Yeah.
How am I, what happened? I just tweeted that you guys scored and now you scored 4 more. Like, what's going on? I do enjoy that, but it makes me laugh, but because that's, usually Sundays, I think 2 p.m. is your normal kickoff, right? So,
correct. Yeah.
That's usually, the time we go and follow the team. So thanks for talking to me. I hope you had an okay time. And, if I could ask you, I'll ask you after we hang up, kind of, who might I talk to next, or who would you recommend if there's anybody, and then that, but I just want to say thank you for taking the time to do this, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, cool. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. And thank you for all your support as well. It's very much appreciated.
Oh, no, not at all. My pleasure. Okay, well, we'll talk to you soon.
Cool. Thank you so much.
And that does it for this episode of the Southampton Delivery Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed it. Special thanks this week goes out to Tash Angel, who took the time to talk with me. Thank you so much. Special thanks also goes out to the Southampton Women's Football Club for making all of these interviews throughout the season available, for giving me their time, for answering my questions, for putting up with me, texting their players and sending their players messages, and to Simon and Lee for just being willing to talk and do all of that stuff. So thank you to everybody who was involved. I truly do appreciate it. All the normal thanks go out as well to my partner, the Southampton page. You can find all of your Southampton news and needs right there on the Southampton page. So be sure to follow along on Twitter and Instagram. The link is in the show notes. Our artwork is done by Matt Beeling of the We Are Southampton page on Instagram. For matchday edits, polls, competitions, and more, be sure to check out the We Are Southampton page on Instagram. You can follow this show on Twitter and Instagram at SFCDELL_IVERY. And we're on Facebook at facebook.com/SFCDelivery. There is no underscore in the Facebook address. Also, if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to this feed wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss future episodes. If you're enjoying the show, please consider leaving a review. It helps spread the word, and we really do appreciate it. The Southampton Women's Football Club relies on donations and sponsorships from people like you and me. So if you have the ability, please consider sponsoring a player or a coach for the upcoming season. They really do appreciate it. And I had the pleasure of being able to do that, and I'm fortunate enough to be able to do that. And it is something that I would never, ever take back. So we'll be looking forward to doing that again in the future. So you can find them on Twitter at SOTON Women's FC, like we said before. But if you're interested in making a sponsorship, please consider contacting Club Secretary Amanda Burrows. The email address is in the show notes, but it is secretary@SouthamptonWFC. The music for this week's episode comes courtesy of the Free Music Archive at freemusicarchive.org. The intro song is Epic Song by Boxcat Games, and the end of show credits that you're listening to now is Aim is True by Poddington Bear. As the World Cup approaches, we will of course be back with another episode next week talking about whatever happens in the world of Saints. But until then, remember that together, we march on.